Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at a piece of television history that might actually completely change how you view character growth. We all know the iconic sitcom universe of Friends, right? I mean, it feels fixed, it feels perfect, and totally inevitable. But what if I told you that the entire trajectory of the show, the very evolution of its incredibly beloved characters, actually hinged on one seemingly minor, everyday decision? Today, we are exploring the high cost of comfort, and we're going to reframe the simple choice of Joey moving out as a pivotal turning point that quietly anchored an entire universe. So let's play a little game of what if and dive straight into this alternate reality. What if Joey never moved out? What if he never got his own place with all that tacky porcelain dog decor, never made that really awkward attempt at independence, and just simply stayed living with Chandler? Now, on the surface, it sounds like a tiny shift, right? Joey just decides to stay right where he feels the absolute safest. He chooses to remain in that perfectly comfortable zone he built with his best friend. But in a delicate ecosystem where every single relationship is carefully balanced, one shift like this quietly rewrites absolutely everything. In this alternative timeline, we run into a massive bait and switch. Our expectation is the ultimate cozy sitcom fantasy. We're talking endless pizza runs, Baywatch marathons, and that iconic roommate dynamic perfectly preserved forever. Joey remains the lovable guy who just doesn't overthink things, and Chandler stays his sarcastic counterpart. Sounds pretty great, but the underlying reality is actually much heavier. Because as comfortable as that apartment couch is, staying there means stalled emotional growth, super complicated romances, and profound arrested development. Because as it turns out, unchecked comfort quietly stops a person from evolving.
Okay, so let's look at the first major ripple effect here, Chandler's stalled evolution.
You see, Joey moving out wasn't just about physical space. It wasn't about who gets the better TV recliner or avoiding that weird temporary roommate phase with Eddie. It was fundamentally about Chandler forging a completely new identity. If you look at his actual emotional milestones over the years, first, Joey leaves, and that forces a physical and emotional space to open up. It is literally only because that space exists that Monica can eventually move in, which ultimately leads to their marriage. Chandler's entire journey is about moving from deep commitment issues into stability and love. Changing his environment was the absolute catalyst for that. Joey's departure wasn't just some funny side plot, it was the strict prerequisite for Chandler stepping out of his insecurities and into a mature life. If Joey never leaves, we encounter what we can call the third presence. This is a physical and emotional roadblock that ties Chandler directly to his old identity. Now, do Monica and Chandler still get together? Sure, probably. Their underlying connection is definitely strong enough for that. But fully transitioning into a committed adult life together, that gets incredibly complicated. In this scenario, Joey isn't just a roommate. He is a living, breathing reminder of exactly who Chandler used to be. If their living situations stay stagnant, Chandler's environment remains entirely defined by constant jokes and a total avoidance of serious commitment. I mean, think about it. How on earth can he fully step into an adult relationship when his bachelor days are sitting right next to him, happily devouring a meatball sub? By staying in this old environment, Chandler remains completely changed to his earlier insecure patterns. But Chandler isn't the only casualty here. That brings us to the second ripple, Joey's arrested development. When we contrast Joey's two potential timelines, the differences are just staggering. In the reality where he actually moves out, financial pressure forces him into survival mode. Real career urgency kicks in. He books Days of Our Lives because he absolutely has to make it work. But if he stays, he remains totally buffered by his safety net. He just exists in this constant state of almost making it in his acting career simply because that pure survival instinct never has to kick in. Without the very real pressure of independence, his emotional depth basically flatlines. He gets all the support he needs, sure, but he completely loses the urgency to evolve. This traps Joey in what we call the bubble. It's a state of perpetual safety where the urgency to grow just totally vanishes. His identity as the funny, carefree guy who doesn't take things too seriously hardens like concrete. And why does this actually matter for the show? Well, because one of Joey's biggest narrative arcs is his eventual emotional maturity when it comes to love. But if he is stuck in this bubble, when those moments of profound emotional depth finally arrive later in his life, they just don't hit the same way. He simply hasn't evolved enough to rise and meet them. Now, zooming out to the entire group, we see the systemic impact, a shift in the machine.
This whole situation creates a very real, undeniable chain reaction. It's a total domino effect. Because Joey never leaves Chandler, Chandler's personal growth dramatically slows down. Because of that, Monica's relationship path becomes deeply complicated. And all the while, Joey's emotional maturity stalls out completely. Just one stagnant living situation disrupts the evolution of absolutely everyone. Even those casual hangouts at Central Park would feel entirely different, because their living situations define how deeply these characters interact with the world around them. There is a quote from our source material that captures this dynamic perfectly. It says, "It's like removing one small gear from a machine. Everything still runs, but not as smoothly." If Joey never moved out, the show would absolutely still be hilarious. It would for sure still be entertaining. But we would lose that quiet, deeper sense that these characters are actually growing up. The gears of the machine would be grinding instead of turning gracefully. And this brings us to our final universal takeaway: comfort versus growth.
What's really fascinating here is that this isn't just about a 90s sitcom anymore. It's about the hidden costs we all pay in our own lives. Short-term comfort, preserving the jokes, the loyalty, the sheer simplicity of a great friendship, that feels incredibly good in the moment. But the long-term cost is steep. That same preservation acts as a ceiling. It severely limits individual evolution and prevents deeper, more mature connections from forming. That immediate feel-good comfort acts as an anchor, weighing you down.
It forces us to face a pretty tough truth. Sometimes growth requires distance. Leaving something behind, even the easiest, most fun living arrangement you've ever had with your best friend, is often a strictly necessary step to moving forward. Joey moving out wasn't a perfect, clean transition by any means, but it was the exact catalyst everyone needed.
In life, comfort almost always feels like the right choice. It is warm, it's safe, and it's familiar. But growth rarely happens on the comfortable couch. The absolute smallest decisions you make, like finally stepping out of your safety net, shape everything that comes next. So take a look at your own life right now. Are your comfortable choices serving you? Or are they secretly stalling you? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time as we uncover the hidden mechanics behind the stories and the lives we thought we knew.